Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for this webinar about working in conveyancing. My name is Josh, and I am part of the team here at New South Wales Fair Trading. In this video, I will be taking you through what is involved when operating as a conveyancer. Today, we'll cover operating a business, insurance requirements, record keeping, trust accounts, and discipline and enforcement. It is important to point out that the information provided in this video is general in nature and is not to be considered as legal interpretation or legal advice. New South Wales Fair Trading acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands where we work and live. We celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of New South Wales. We extend that acknowledgement of respect to the custodians for the lands on which you're watching this webinar. A licensed conveyancer can only oversee one place of business at a time. If you have multiple businesses, a separate licensed conveyancer is needed for each one. The New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner can grant an exemption to this rule if a licensee meets the requirements set out in Clause 7 of the regulation. To apply for an exemption, you must provide an explanation on why the exemption is needed, evidence of experience as licensee in charge at another place of business, demonstrated compliance with New South Wales Fair Trading's guidelines and licensing conditions, and an employer references supporting your experience and capabilities as a licensee in charge. If a conveyancer meets these requirements, a submission can be made to the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner for consideration. As a licensed conveyancer, you must be covered by the approved Professional Indemnity Insurance, or PII, while conducting conveyancing work. Currently, there is only one approved PII policy issued as a master policy. Under this policy, individual certificates of insurance are provided to conveyancers. If you own or operate a conveyancing business, you must obtain coverage under this master policy. If you are employed by a business, your employer's coverage must also be under this policy. If you're planning on taking an extended break from conveyancing work, you are not required to hold a PII policy during this time. You'll need to check with your industry association about your coverage and ensure you remain covered until you stop working. Before returning to conveyancing work after a break, you must ensure your PII policy has been reinstated to comply with licensing requirements. Details on approved policies are in the Conveyancer's Licensing Approved PII Policy Order of 2017, and the Commissioner's guidelines are available on our website. A licensed conveyancer must keep originals or copies of all documents for any transaction carried out by the licensee or the licensee's employees, and these include all documents evidencing the transaction, including, for example, agreements, transfers, and mortgages, all associated documents, including, for example, documents required to be attached to a contract for the sale of land, inspection reports, requisitions on title, and responses to requisitions. All other documents and records kept or issued or received by the licensee or their employees, including, for example, letters, file notes, invoices, and settlement sheets. These records must be kept in a separate file for that transaction only, kept safely by the licensee for at least 7 years, unless they've been lawfully transferred to another licensee or a legal practitioner, and they must be in English if there are records required to be made or produced by the licensee. Keeping your records up to date is important as they are required for auditing purposes with New South Wales Fair Trading. These requirements are set out in Part 6 of the Conveyancer's Licensing Regulation of 2021. Conveyancers must keep client funds in a trust account at an institution approved by New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner. A list of approved institutions is available on our website. When opening a trust account, you must specify whether it's a general or separate trust account per client instructions. You'll need to complete a trust account notice, which is a blue form, with copies for yourself, New South Wales Fair Trading, and the financial institution. Interest earned on these accounts must be directed to New South Wales Fair Trading unless the account is set up on client's instructions to whom the funds belong, or for the exclusive benefit of a vendor and purchaser of land. In such cases, fill out a trust account exemption, which is the pink form, with copies for the licensee and the institution. If funds are misused, you have committed an offence. Misusing funds not only breaches your obligations as a licensed conveyancer, but can lead to disqualification, penalties, and prosecution. More details on opening trust accounts can be found on our website and in Part 5 of the Conveyancers Licensing Act of 2003. A licensed conveyancer must provide a statement of account to each person whose money is held in a trust account. This statement must be provided within 14 days of receiving a written request, within 21 days of closing an account, and 31 March and 30 September in each year, except in some circumstances which will be covered shortly. The statements should include the money received and held for the person, any disbursements made on the person's behalf, the remaining balance of the money in their account, and a detailed record of all transactions related to the account. A licensed conveyancer is not required to send a statement of accounts during 31 March and 30 September in each year if the account has been open for less than 6 months, the account balance is zero with no transactions in the past 6 months, a statement has already been provided within the last 6 months with no further transactions, or you have received a waiver notice. A client can waive the requirement for a statement by giving their conveyancer written notice in the approved form. The waiver can be revoked at any time with written notice. To ensure transparency and proper record keeping, you must retain a copy of each statement of account within the relevant file. More information on statements of account can be located in Clause 19 of the regulation. When closing a trust account, a conveyancer must notify New South Wales Fair Trading within 14 days after closing the account. New South Wales Fair Trading can be notified online via the trust account registration, in person at Service New South Wales, or by completing the notice of a close a trust account, which is the green form, and submitted to New South Wales Fair Trading. The form needs to be signed by the licensee, and a copy of the trust account closure confirmation notice must be kept for 3 years. More information on closing a trust account can be located on our website or Part 5 of the Act. Licensed conveyancers must report unclaimed trust money that has been held for over 2 years by providing an unclaimed money statement to New South Wales Fair Trading every January. This applies to all amounts of money. The statement must include details of the funds held, the names of individuals the money belongs to, and their last known address. Before reporting, a conveyancer must make reasonable efforts to locate the owner of any outstanding money in the trust account. Failure to make reasonable efforts may result in compliance action, which could include prosecution. More information on unclaimed money is located on our website or Part 5 of the Act. New South Wales Fair Trading, as a regulator, can conduct announced or unannounced inspections across the property industry, including conveyancers. Ensure all records are maintained in line with the obligations under the Act and regulation. All trust money must be audited by either a registered company auditor, members of professional account bodies who hold a public practice certificate, or an auditor who meets the legislative requirements under Section 79 of the Conveyancers Licensing Act of 2023. Audit reports must be submitted to New South Wales Fair Trading via the Auditor's Report online portal, as required by the Conveyancers Licensing Act of 2003. This applies to any licensed conveyancer who has held or received trust money during the audit period ending 30 June each year. Even if a conveyancer has not handled any monies in the trust during the audit period, they are still required to submit a declaration to the effect by 30 September each year. This includes conveyancers who are employees. Audit reports must be submitted within 3 months of the audit period by 30 September each year. Failing to meet this deadline may result in compliance action, which may include disqualification from holding or renewing a conveyancer license or being issued with a fine. Licensed corporations handling trust funds must submit the audit themselves, while individual licensees managing trust money must submit the audit personally. The New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner may take action against a licensed conveyancer for breaching the Act or regulation or a licence condition. For minor offences, penalty notices can be issued if there is evidence of an offence under the Act or regulation. Penalty amounts are detailed in Schedule 3 of the Conveyancers Licensing Regulation of 2021. For more serious breaches, the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner may commence prosecution or issue a show cause notice to start disciplinary action. These notices are issued in writing, allow 14 days to respond, outline the alleged grounds for action. Disciplinary action can include a caution, a reprimand, a financial penalty, license conditions, cancellation, disqualification, or public warnings to protect consumers. For a complete list of actions, visit our website. For a copy of the relevant Act or regulation, go to the New South Wales legislation website at www.legislation.newsouthwales.gov.au. For more detailed information what was presented today, go to the New South Wales Fair Trading website at www.fairtrading.newsouthwales.gov.au or the Australian Institute of Conveyancers New South Wales Division at www.aicnsw.com.au or call 02 9633 1355. Thank you for listening today, and I hope the information has been useful.